Hi everybody, I'm Stefan. Welcome back to another lesson in my Level 3 Technique and Performance book within the Beginner Piano course for solo learners. In this video, we're going to learn a very popular tune, the theme from Für Elise by Beethoven. Don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already done so, and if you like what you see, give this video a thumbs up. Also, I offer online piano lessons if you're looking for one. There's going to be information below, and if you'd like to get this Level 3 Technique and Performance book, there's going to be links to that too. So we all know this tune, we've all heard it at one point or another, and the piece is much longer, but I wanted to include the beginning theme because the entire piece might be a little bit too difficult for Level 3, and I know that many students only want to play the beginning section, not the entire piece, because that's a little bit too much of a challenge, but in later levels we might have a look at the entire piece as well. Now the beginning section has this very interesting kind of question answer between the left and right hand. The right hand plays and the left and the right left, but they never really play together. It's always a dialogue between the two hands, and as you could see, I was trying to exaggerate it so the camera can capture it. There's a lot of hand movement going on in the Für Elise, and the more expressive you make this very simple melody, the nicer it's going to sound. There's a lot of dynamics in it, very subtle dynamics, which again is going to add shading and coloring to the melodies and the phrases. But it also has some technical challenges and it has to flow very evenly. So let's have a look. The first section is the first 8 bars, which basically repeats twice, and the second time you move on to the next section. The left hand is very simple. In the first section, we've only got 2 chords. We have an A minor chord and we have an E major chord. Now we are in the key of A minor, so no sharps and no flats in the key signature, and we are in 3/8, so 3 eighth note beats in every bar. The piece is almost exclusively made of 16th notes with some 8th notes at the end of phrases, so very easy to count and understand the rhythm, just making sure there are no hiccups and hesitations. The left hand, as I said, is going to start on chord 1, which is an A chord, but instead of playing it in this very closed position, we're going to play it in a more open position. So 5, 2, 1, A, E, A is the first chord in bar 2, and the second one is going to be E, E, so an octave, 5, 1, and crossing number 2 over to G sharp. So instead of playing a standard E major chord, we're going to play an E octave and a G sharp. That makes it a bit more interesting. And the next chord is A again, and then E and A. So we've only got these 2 chords in the first section. Now the most important thing when you play these 2 chords is to get fluency and let the arm and the wrist move laterally with the notes, so you don't keep your hand in a tense position, because then it's going to feel a little bit too rigid. So pum, pum, pum. I'm exaggerating so you can see it, but my hand is moving. I'm moving very fluently and lifting. 1, 2, lift. 1, 2, lift. And that's how the left hand should flow from beginning to end. Now the right hand has the melody. Again, we have a longer little motif at the start, which is the... And then we have the same length slurs as in the left hand because it's a question answer. So let's see this very noticeable first bar. We start on an upbeat, we start on E, and we have a D sharp, and we're kind of doing a little trill back and forth. So E, D sharp, E, D sharp, E, B, D, C, A. And that's our little question that sets up the entire mood for the piece. Now this one can be played with many fingerings, but the one I chose here is the 5/4 to work on strengthening these outer weak fingers, because they can usually be problematic. It can also be played with 4/3 and then doing a crossing, but if you do it with 5/4, it's a very good workout for 5 and 4. And what you want is a very soft wrist, rounded fingers, and kind of going up and down, because it's a wide black note. It's quite difficult to make it even. Sometimes it sounds like one of the notes is going to feel stronger or uneven. So really listening out for the evenness of this trilling between these 2 notes. You can speed up a little bit, slow down, and just play with the sound, getting it perfectly fluid. And when you did that, Then you're going to put 2, 4, 3, and resting on the 1. And don't push the 1. The 1, the strongest finger is going to be on the last note of the phrase, and therefore it needs to be light. So you're rounding off the phrase. Now, as you can see, every time this motif comes back, we have a crescendo and a diminuendo. So we start off pianissimo very quietly, we get louder, and then we pull it back. And that's going to make it even more interesting. So, and pulling it back. So gently, crescendo, and pull it back and lift. And that's it. And the second phrase starts on C. It's a bit stretchy again. 1, 2, 4, lift. And at the end of each phrase, you want to lift. And then number 1 on the E, G sharp, B, C. Then back to our little phrase, but we start on an octave. So E. Then again C. And answering the question. Here we have a 6. And again, as you can see, my arm is really moving with the melody. I'm not keeping it in a very rigid position. And I'm resting on the A. And that's it. So very, very simple melody. Some kind of stretchy intervals, but very easy to memorize. Now, 2 things that can happen when you play it together. The first one is sustaining the notes, which I've seen very often, so holding them down instead of... So it's legato, but not held. You need to release those notes as you move through, so don't hold them all. And the second thing is stopping between the left and the right hand. I notice quite often with students, so... putting in an imaginary rest between the left and the right hand. So counting-wise, every time the right hand is finishing on an 8th note, that's when the left hand starts together with the last note of the right hand. So let's count it out. 3 and 1 and 2 and 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 3 and 1 and 2. And that's how it goes with the counting. So as you could see, it's almost like juggling between the 2 hands. When one hand is playing, the other one lifts. When the other one is playing, the other hand lifts. And this is essentially what gives the fluidity of this piece and why the sound is so pleasant, because it's not just random notes being played very robotically after each other. Now, the other thing that you might have heard in the initial performance is that I was using the pedal. The pedaling could be broken into 2 pedals per bar. You could also pedal for the first 3 notes of the bar and not pedal for the right hand, or you could hold the pedal for the entire bar, and that's the most common way of playing this. The first theme question doesn't get pedaling because we don't want a blurry sound here. And now pedal goes down with the A. And when I play the E and B, after that I'm going to re-pedal very quickly. And another pedal. And now my pedal comes up. And pedal down. Pedal up and down. And so on. So every time you have a new chord in the left hand, you re-pedal, but always after the left hand note to make sure that you get that continuous legato pedaling. And this was the first section. So once you repeated it, we have a first and second ending. So bar 9 is the first ending and bar 10 is the second ending. So the second time you finish on A, and then the right hand carries on, and we go into a lovely C major, the relative major of A minor, before going back to the dominant, the E, which takes us back to A minor. So let's see the right hand starting on the B. So what you could hear here was a sequence. We had the exact same melody repeating 3 times, but each time on a lower note, so 1 step down, and that's called a sequence. And again, each of these slurs started with a seventh. So again, you want to create a beautiful motion leading from the arm, those bigger intervals, so they don't seem very abrupt. Starting on the B number 1, lift, G, lift, F, lift, E. And then we're going to do the next part hands together because it makes more sense. The left hand here is going to go into a C major chord in bar 11. So C, G, C, and then a G major chord. G, G, B. So again, G, octave, crossover number 2. Then we have an A minor, and then we go down to the E. So let's put this together, the first 4 bars. And what happens now is we get to this dominant. It's kind of a playful little section which allows for quite a lot of ad-lib or creativity, freedom when you perform this. We're going to have this E octaves, which many people find quite confusing because of the way it's notated, but because it's going through so many octaves, there's no easier way to notate it. So you start 5 on this E, then you jump 5 to the next E. So 5, 5, 1, right hand repeats the same E, octave, left hand repeats the same 2 E's, and right hand an octave higher. So 5, 5, 1, 1, 5, 5, 1, 1, 5. Just doing this many, many times, these octaves, and again, no hiccups in it, so you don't want to do that. Very smoothly. 1 and 2 and 1 and 2 and 1. So really, really evenly. And as you get to the top one, you can go quieter, you can slow down a little bit, and now we get this, again, little dialogue. So D sharp E, D sharp E, D sharp E, almost like caressing the keys. It's very playful here. Left hand goes 3, 2, right hand 2, 3, and we're playing the same 2 notes but alternating between the 2 hands. Left hand starts, right hand, left hand, and then right hand number 4 on the D sharp, and back to the tune. And this almost feels like teasing to me. I'm teasing, going back to the main tune, and this is getting you ready. This is one of my favorite sections of this first part because it allows for so much personality to go into it because everybody's going to play this section slightly differently. And then as you can see, the next part is the exact same as the first section. So the A section comes back. And then you're going to repeat again. And the second time you finish on A. And that's it. And that's the first part of Für Elise before we go into the more difficult sections. So the key takeaways from this lesson are lots of relaxation in the arm, in the wrist, using your entire body is moving, your hands are moving, your wrists are moving. Nothing is rigid in the Für Elise because we have big intervals in both hands. We have a lot of movement, and the movement has to be accompanied by the freedom of the hands and lots of legato, lots of dynamic shadings, lifting the hand and using very accurate pedaling so you don't get blurry sounds. Enjoy this beautiful piece. I hope you'll enjoy it as much as I did when I was a child and I learned it for the first time, and it was a real joy. And as much as we teachers hear this every single year from at least a few students, it never gets old and you still enjoy because it's a beautiful piece.